Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagmani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aryabhat College, University of Delhi. So in this series of our lectures, which is based on introduction to programming using C++, in our previous lectures we have started with the basics of object oriented programming paradigm, and in those basics we have covered some of the concepts which are encapsulation, abstraction, classes and objects. So these basic fundamentals of object oriented programming paradigm we have covered, and within that we can say sequence, the today's topic is polymorphism and inheritance. So we will be looking into basics of both the concepts which are polymorphism and inheritance, and let me mention these two are actually important concepts, or we can say these two are also features or properties of your object oriented programming paradigm. So now, as the name indicates, let's take inheritance first. So as the name indicates, inheritance is something which is which is received by the, we can say, the upper generation or the elders, we can say. So here inheritance in terms of object oriented programming paradigm is actually about receiving of some features or some properties from one class to another class. Now let's see what actually this is and how it is being implemented. So inheritance is the capability of a class to derive properties and characteristics from another class, and this functionality is known as inheritance. It is one of the most important features of object oriented programming paradigm. So here within the we can say definition of inheritance, we have some specific terminologies which are relevant to inheritance, and the first one of them is a subclass. So a subclass that inherits properties from another class. It is also known as derived class or child class. So child class or derived class or subclass is the class which is going to take some properties from any other class, and that any other class is nothing but known as a superclass. So that is known as parent class or base class or superclass. All the three terms can be used simultaneously for one particular entity, and that is the class whose properties are inherited by subclass. So now here is the convention that we have one superclass or base class or parent class whose properties are being inherited by its subclass or derived class or children class. So that is what some properties are being inherited by subclass, and those properties actually belongs to the superclass. So in our general terminology also we have we say like this, that this is a boy or whose eyes are look like his mother. So that means he has inherited those properties from his mother. Now for example, let's say we have three classes. We are dealing with let's say the application maintenance of related to some vehicles, and we have three classes which are bus, car and truck. So we have class bus, class car and class truck. Now looking at the some basic features of these bus, class and truck are they have their some fuel amount, they have their own specific capacity, and they are there to apply brakes. So basically fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes are the member functions which are valid there for the class bus. Similar kind of the we can say functions which is fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes are required for class car as well, and similarly for the class truck we need fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes. So what is actually happening here? we have 3 classes and all the 3 classes have same requirement, and that is a kind of, we can say, a perfectly valid scenario. So what are we going to do in this situation? In this situation, the idea here is to maintain or to create one class which is named as, let's say, vehicle, and that vehicle class is having the functions or member functions, we can say, which are nothing but fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes. And let the children classes, which are bus, car and truck, let these children classes inherit those properties here in the sense your member functions, or it could be any data members as well. So inheritance of the members of the from one class to the another is inheritance. So here, instead of writing the code for fuel amount, capacity and apply brake thrice individually for each of the classes of bus, car and truck, the basic idea here is to manage or is to create a class vehicle, write down those functions into that class vehicle and allow the class bus, car and truck to inherit those features. So class vehicle will be more specifically here is known as your superclass, or we can say your parent class, while your bus, car and truck, which is class bus, class car and class truck, are known as child classes or derived classes or subclasses, while class vehicle is your base class or superclass or parent class, whatever the name you can give, that's perfectly fine. So how are we going to create how are we going to implement the property of inheritance? So it is about writing a particular syntax which says class subclass name colon access mode base class name and then body of the subclass. So for example, let me elaborate it here. Base class is already being defined, we can say. So here we can say we have a class which is defined as class vehicle. Now in order to inherit the properties of class vehicle for the class bus, we will say class bus colon access mode and then base class name is vehicle. So we will say class bus colon access mode and vehicle. So what actually, now the question arises, what actually this access mode is? So this access mode can be of public, private and protected. I am coming to that, I will be covering it soon. And then after prototype declaration, which is class bus colon protected, then vehicle, we have to define the body of the subclass within the curly brackets and then we will normally close that body. So now what actually this access mode here is? So access mode could be the mode in which you want to inherit the properties of your superclass into the subclass. Subclass name is the it's very clear, it is the name of the subclass. Base class name or superclass name is the name of the superclass or parent class from which you want to inherit into the subclass. Coming to access mode, the access mode is the mode in which you want to inherit. And what are these access modes? These access modes are nothing but public, private and protected. So we have access modes as public, private, protected. These are more specifically known as modes of inheritance. So coming to modes of inheritance, we will cover them in brief now and then we will drill down into the details when we will deal with the programming concepts or programming examples of inheritance. So as of now, let us try to understand the brief about mode of inheritance. When I say class bus, public, vehicle, that means the mode of inheritance is public, and if we are going to derive a subclass from a public base class, then we use the mode public. What will happen in this? Public members of the base class or superclass will become the public member in the derived class. Private members cannot be inherited, and the protected members of the base class will become protected in the derived class. So, whatever the public members are available inside the vehicle will become the public members inside the bus. Whatever protected members are available inside vehicle will become the protected members inside the class bus. So, this is what the mode in which we are trying to say that we are inheriting in the public mode. Coming to the private mode. Now, let us say I am going to define class bus colon private vehicle. So, that means I am inheriting the properties of class vehicle in private mode, or I can say my mode of inheritance is private. So, now what will happen? In private mode, whenever I am inheriting a superclass, then both the public members as well as the private members of the base class will become private in the derived class. So, for example, vehicle class vehicle is having two members, one of them is public, another one is protected. So, these public and protected members will become private members of the class bus. So, this is what the way in which we are inheriting in private mode. So, if we are inheriting in public mode, the public and protected members will become the public and protected members of the child class as well. In private mode, the public and the protected members both will become private in the child class or in the derived class. Coming to the third mode, which is protected mode. So, protected mode says, or we can say the mode protected is used if we derive a subclass from a protected base class. That means the both public and protected members will become protected in the derived class. That means, for example, let us say your class vehicle is having one member which is public, another member which is protected, and I am inheriting that vehicle in the protected mode inside the class bus. So, both public member as well as the protected member both will become protected in the derived class, which is class bus. So, in public both the members will become public. In private mode, both public and protected members will become private, and in protected mode both the public and protected members will become protected members in the derived class. So, these are the three, we can say, different modes of inheritance. We will be covering lot many programming examples when we will drill down into inheritance much. So, presently we are just covering the basics of object oriented programming paradigm, and within that we have covered all the basics except one, which is here now, it is polymorphism. So, polymorphism, as the name indicates, it is actually a combination of two terms. One is poly, another one is morph. So, morph means form, poly means many. So, polymorphism is actually related to having many forms. Now, who is having many forms and how these many forms are being used, let us see. So, polymorphism is another very important feature of object oriented programming paradigm. So, whenever I am talking about having more than one forms or having many forms, that means initially or by basics I am talking about many forms of a particular function. So, for example, I am going to give a function which is named as sum, and I am going to give it 2 integers. So, based on the parameter list which is containing 2 integers, sum ideally should return me the addition of a and b. That is what is expected. But now what will happen if I am going to use that particular name sum along with the 2 string into the parameter list? So, my idea is then in this situation the string x as well as the string y should be concatenated, and the result should be a string which is the concatenation of x and y. So, now what is happening? Let us try to see. I am having one function sum in which if I am supplying 2 integers, it is going to sum them or it is going to add them, and that function sum, that means the name is similar, that function say sum on encountering 2 strings, it is concatenating the 2 strings together. So, function is one which is sum, or the function name is the same, but the form is different, and that form is dependent on what kind of argument list you are actually passing. So, coming to the polymorphism. So, here sum is having many forms, and that is what the polymorphism is. And coming to the polymorphism, in case of C++, we have compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So, compile time polymorphism is being achieved by function overloading and operator overloading, while the runtime polymorphism is being achieved by virtual functions. Now, we will try to see and explore the basics of all these terms, and we will drill down into the details in upcoming lectures. So, now compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism, let us try to differentiate this. Compile time polymorphism can be achieved with the help of function overloading or operator overloading, while runtime polymorphism will be achieved with the help of virtual function, as I have told you. Now, let us see what actually this function overloading is. So, function overloading, as I have given you the example of the function sum, that was actually function overloading, in which what is actually happening? We have multiple functions with same name but different parameters, and then these functions are said to be overloaded. For example, I am having one function sum in which 2 integers are being passed, another function definition with the same name as sum but with different signatures, that means different prototype as well as different body also. That means the sum which is having integer a, integer b, that is going to, let us say, print a plus b, while the function sum which is receiving string x and string y, that is going to print concat of string x and y. So, here 2 functions with the same name but different implementation details and different, we can say, parameter list or different prototype or different signature. So, different functions, 2 different functions, or maybe others also, many different functions, but with the same name. So, here this function, this phenomena is known as function overloading, and functions can be overloaded by change in the number of arguments or by change in the type of arguments, and depending upon while calling which is the function or what are the parameters you are actually supplying. If I am supplying sum 5,7, the result will be printed as 12, and if I am supplying sum well WEL, come 2 strings, so it is going to give me welcome. So, depending upon what kind of parameters you are supplying, the we can say the corresponding definition of the sum function will be called and implemented, but the function here, there are multiple functions, but the name of the function is same. Now let's try to have one more programming example. For this we are having one class which is class demo, and in the public section of demo I have taken three bodies or three signatures of one function which is named as func func, in which I am for function for the first version of the function I am passing an integer and it is printing that integer. For the second version I am passing double and it is printing that double, and for the third version I am passing two integers and it is printing two different integers. So here is only one function in the name, only one function name which is func, but the three implementations of this function func are having different parameters. In one, only one integer is being passed, in second only one double is being passed, in the third two parameters are being passed. So this is what how this function overloading is being achieved, and in order to use this inside the main function, what are we going to do? We are going to create one object obj1 of the class demo, and I am saying obj1 dot func7. So in this situation, the function which is having integer x as the parameter will be called, which is the second function I can say. If I am going to pass obj1 dot func 9.132, looking at 9.132, the compiler is going to match it with the second function which is 9.132, because 9.132 is a double. For function obj1 dot func7, the first function is being called, the for obj1 dot func 9.132, the second function is being called. And if I am going to pass two different parameters, that is obj1 dot func 85, 64 or two any other different parameters, the third function will be called. So depending upon what parameters you are passing, the relevant or the corresponding version of the function will be called and implemented, and this is what you are actually calling your function overloading. And function overloading is one way of achieving compile time polymorphism. Another way of achieving compile time polymorphism is actually operator overloading. So let me try to brief you about operator overloading. Now one operator I am having is plus. Now I am taking a plus b. In case of a and b being two integers, it is going to give me the addition of two integers. In case of a and b being two integers, it is going to give me the concatenation of one string another with the second string. So that means as operator plus, when it is being placed between two integers or between two numbers, it is going to add them, and when it is being placed between two strings, it is going to concatenate them. But for this functionality to take place, we need to overload that particular operator, which is the operator plus here. So operator overloading is another idea of achieving compile time polymorphism, while runtime polymorphism is achieved by function overriding, and that function overriding we will be covering in the upcoming lectures. So within this lecture we have covered two very important features of object oriented programming paradigm. One of them is inheritance and another one of them is polymorphism, and within polymorphism we have we have seen the details of function overloading as well, but yes, we have to do many programming examples which are due for the upcoming lectures, and here is a list of references which is being used for preparation of this lecture. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you for patient hearing.